Let's learn how to make a nice layout for mobile. This layout has a sticky header at the top. It's sticky because it sticks in the same position. It sticks to the top. And it has a sticky footer down here. It has 3 icons. And when you scroll through the content, the header and the footer stay where they are. All right, let's get into it. The first step is we will need a blank project to write this code. I'm going to open up Visual Studio Code. I'm going to open a folder, and I will just make a new folder. Let's call it, what will we call this? We'll call this Simple Mobile Layout. Enter. I can double click on it, select folder, and now that folder is open in Visual Studio Code. I'm going to put that side by side with my browser. There we go. Brilliant. So now you can see both. This obviously is the finished product. Currently I don't have anything. Let's start by making a new file. I'm going to click on this button here, the new file button, or you can go file, new file, that also works. Or you can even right click here and go new file. It's all the same. And I will call this index.html. Index.html is always the starter page. It's the default page, the home page. And now let's start putting content in there. First, let's just check that this works. Maybe I'll say hello and put a H1 heading. To make this a little bit easier to read, I might zoom in. There we go. Just make it easier for you following along in the video. Whoa, maybe that's a little bit too big. All right, and now notice there's a dot there, which means it's not saved. Control S will save. To run it, I can right click on this file, go Reveal in File Explorer, and then just double click on it. Good, there we go. Close this. There is my simple web page. Excellent. Okay, what do I actually want to have? I want the heading, the content, and then this part. So, for a web page, normally everything goes inside a HTML element. So I'll do HTML at the start and HTML at the end. I will also need a head tag. A head tag is for all of the style sheets and other things that are not content. And a body tag is for all of the content of the page. Hi, save with Control S. Now I'll go over here and refresh with Control R. Good, excellent. What's next? All right, we need to get some of this content. Let's get the heading, content, and the bar at the bottom. I could say, my cool site, this is the main content, and then this will be the icons, save. And if I do that, I've got the things there, but I can't apply formatting differently to the 3 different parts. In order to apply formatting differently to these 3 elements of the page, I need to put them each in their own element. So this one, I'm going to put in a div element. This one I will also put in a div element, div, at the start here. There we go, /div. And this last one is in its own div element. Notice that I have the start tag for the element, and then here I have the end tag. Control S to save. Go over here. Good. Not much has changed on the site, but this lets me apply different formatting to each of them, different CSS to each of them. Also, to target each of them with CSS, I'm going to give each of them a class. This one can have a class of, well, this here will be the header. So maybe I'll call that the header. And this here will be the main content. So I'll call this the main content. By the way, the naming for these is a name that's up to you. You choose the name. The name doesn't really matter, but having a name that's easier to understand makes it easier for you and other people to read your code. This last one will be the icons at the bottom. Because it's going to be in the bottom, I'm going to call this the footer. There we go. Save, go over here. It doesn't look any different here, but now I can apply different formatting to each of them. For example, in the head, I can have a style element, and now I can put CSS here in the style element. I can put CSS for this element that has a class of header. To say that I want to apply formatting to this element with a class of header, I do dot header, and then curly brackets. Curly brackets open, curly brackets are closed. And I can choose what formatting I want for a header. Maybe the header, I want to have a background, down, enter, of, I want it to be really obvious that this formatting is applied. So I like lime because it is a disgusting color. And if I save, Control S and refresh, there we go. Just zoom in a bit. It's obvious that it worked. I'm going to go ahead and do a similar thing for the footer. Background, I don't know, red, and a different one for the main content as well. Background, blue. Save. Refresh. Good. Now, even if I didn't want to have a background for these things, giving them a background makes it easier to figure out what the problem might be when things go wrong. And also how big each element is. All right, let's focus on getting this footer at the bottom of the page. To get the footer at the bottom of the page, there are a few ways to do that. Because this footer needs to be at the bottom of the page no matter what. We'll scroll and it will always stay at the bottom of the window, I should say. Not the bottom of the page, but the bottom of the window. Then I can say that the position is fixed, which means it's fixed to the screen. And I can say that I want it to be at the bottom of the page. So 0 pixels away from the bottom of the page. I could say that it's 0 pixels away from the top of the page, or even 5 pixels away from the top of the page. But I want this to be 0 pixels away from the bottom of the page. Bang, there it is. Okay, I also want it to be the full width of the page, so I can say that the width is 100%. Good. And something has gone wrong here. Notice that it starts here. You might be wondering why it starts there and there's a little gap there. If you need to debug problems like that, you can go right click and inspect element and see that it actually starts there. If I look at the parent element, which is this one, the body, notice that the body has this orange padding around it. It has an orange margin around the edge, all the way around the edge of the body. The margin is set to 8 pixels. This is something that's just the default. User agent style sheet. The user agent is the browser. So this is applied by default on Google Chrome. I don't want that. I don't want a gap all around the edge of my site. So we can override that by saying the body element should have a margin of 0 pixels. Save, refresh, good. Now my site goes right to the edge because the body does not have a margin anymore. All right, it's difficult to test if this is staying at the bottom. So I'm going to select this, click and drag. Actually, I might just select that part. So click and drag, cut with Control X, and then paste. Control V, lots and lots of times. Do you reckon that's enough? Probably. Save, refresh. There we go. Now I can scroll, and sure enough, the icons stay at the bottom. There's a little bug because this is the main, we're missing the next line. And the reason we're missing the next line is this is on top of it. This footer position is fixed, but it's on top of the other content. That's annoying. So how will I fix the problem that this the body goes all the way to the bottom of the page? I only want it to go right up to here. I want the body to stop at this point here. A good way to do that is to go to the body and say that the margin on the bottom should be the same height as the icons. Let's say I'm going to guess about 100 pixels. So now I can scroll down here and it gives me that little bit extra scroll distance. so that you can actually see the end of the content. That 100 pixels, by the way, I think that was too generous. If I click on Inspect Element and go down here, or you can right-click and go Inspect Element if that's easier, I can see that this element is actually 18 pixels high. And maybe on someone else's computer, if the font is bigger, it might be 20 pixels high. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Let's make it so that on everyone's computer, the height of the footer is 50 pixels. Refresh. There we go. And now the body, margin bottom, 50 pixels, will give me that extra 50 pixels of scrolling at the bottom. Save, refresh. There we go. So now when I scroll to the top, I've got the top. When I scroll to the bottom, it's like that. Good. Okay, what else do we need? We wanted to have the icons. We wanted to have the icons working. To do that, I would recommend Google Font Icons. These ones, maybe? Google Fonts. Yeah, Google Font Icons. You can click on icons. I wanted a picture of a house, a home, so I can click on home. This is the code that I need to put into my page. You can do it this way, or you can do it this way, or you can do it this way. I might just copy this one. Or this one. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe this one. And the current variable axis configuration. This one looks simpler, actually. Maybe I'll do this one. Copy. This is a link to other CSS code. So much like the style element, this goes in the head. Paste. The head is for things that are information about the page that's not actually content on the page. Scripts, so JavaScript, and CSS, links, that sort of thing. Now, this has imported the font. If I go here and refresh, nothing has changed. In order to use the icon, I use code like this. I go copy, and this will be icons. Let's paste one of the icons. Paste, save. It's annoying to me that that span starts there, and then this one is not aligned. HTML does not care. It will work the same, but it will drive me crazy, and it will drive you crazy too. And it looks nicer if it's nice and beautiful and lined up. Okay, let's refresh. Yeah, there's our home icon. Let's get a few more icons. Maybe, which ones did I use? Chat icon, info icon. I can search for a chat. There we go, brilliant. Click, copy, pop it down here. And an info icon. There we go. Copy. Oh, this one. There we go. Save and go here. Refresh. Excellent. Now, you may notice this looks different to this. Let's get them spread out horizontally and vertically. To make it easier to see which is which, I'm going to say that every span element of the page, 1, 2, 3, each of these 3 span elements should have a background of purple. Save. Refresh. Actually, a background of violet. I don't intend to give these a background later, but it's going to make it a lot easier to see how big these elements are if I give them a background. All right, now I want these to be centered in the parent element. The parent element of these 3 spans is the footer. It's this one. The 3 spans are inside that element. So if I want to center these in the parent, I'm going to apply formatting to the parent. The formatting that I will apply is display flex. If you Google Flexbox, you can get a complete guide to Flexbox, and that will show you all of the cool different things that you can do with Flexbox. Lots and lots of amazing things. You can change the order of things, put things in the center, put spacing between things. It just gives you complete control over the layout of your page. And I use Flexbox all the time. You can have it so that the middle one grows to fill the space and the rest stays small. All sorts of cool stuff. Display Flex means that we are now using Flexbox for the layout. on this footer. So for all of the children of the footer, they will be laid out using Flexbox. If I refresh, so far not much has changed. But because I am using DisplayFlex, now I can use justify content or justify items? Justify content, I think, and put these things in the center. Save, refresh. Now, this flex is in the horizontal direction as a row. They're in the center of the row. I can do the same in the other direction. Align items, also in the center. One of them is for the one direction, and this one is for the other direction. So this one aligns it horizontally in this case, and this one will align it vertically. Refresh. And now these things are in the center. That's not what I had here, right? Here, they're spread out horizontally. They fill the remaining space. If I inspect one of these things, then, it tries to keep the spacing between all of them the same, rather than here, where there is no spacing between them. This one was the horizontal direction, so I can say that justify content is space between. Save. You can see there were a few other options there that I could have picked. Space, lots of things, space between. You can also go to the guide to Flexbox to see other options. Between, around, evenly, center, and so on. There we go. I think I actually want space around. Save, refresh. There we go. Spacing around. Wonderful. Okay, so I've got my sticky footer. Now I scroll up. My cool site. That's pretty much the main things I wanted to show. Maybe one other thing is these icons could be a little bit bigger. So I can say that the font size is 50 pixels. These icons are actually part of a font, is the way that they work. And you might notice that nothing happened. There is a technical reason why that is. If I inspect element, the technical reason is that I said 50 pixels and Google says, no, they're 24 pixels. And I can say, all right, well, 50 pixels, this rule is important. And it is more important than the other rule. So now I've got my icons there. I'm going to zoom. Whoa, my eyes. There we go, brilliant. The only last thing to do really is this heading at the top and making the heading sticky. This heading, sticky. This heading, not sticky. I can do that the same way that I did the footer, which is to say that position is fixed, which means that it's fixed on the screen. If I save, go here and scroll, you can see, yeah, it's fixed on the screen. The top, distance from the top, just to show you 90 pixels. This is not what it will look like, but you can see, there we go, that's 90 pixels from the top. I can inspect element just to prove to you. There you go, 90 pixels from the top. But I want it 0 pixels from the top. There we go. Width, I want it to be 100% of the width of the parent, which is the page. And I still have that problem that if I scroll to the top, I can't see the first part of the content. It's hidden. It's hidden behind here, behind this element. So I can say that the body has a 50 pixel margin at the top. Margin top, 50 pixels, which means the content of the body only starts 50 pixels from the top. There we go. Refresh. Yes. This thing here, the header, is not actually 50 pixels. Maybe I'll set the height to be 50 pixels. Now the header is 50 pixels high. And just for completeness, I want this to be right in the middle. To get it in the middle, I am going to set this element, the header, to be DisplayFlex, so that the contents, there's only one item in the contents. It says my cool site, that's the only item that is inside it, can be laid out according to Flexbox. The Flexbox layout that I want is justify content. I want it in the center. Save, refresh, good. And in the vertical direction, I want align items center. Save, good, brilliant. And there is my beautiful site. If you mess with the colors, then you can get it to look like this. The last bit that I use to get it to look like that is Google Fonts. So you click on Fonts here, you pick the font you want. Which one do I like? I think I use Poppins. Click on Poppins. There you go, you choose the one you want. I think I chose Extra Light. Extra Light, you copy this code here, can go, can go in here. There we go. Move that across. Because these are links, these go in the head. And now, if you want to set the font, you can use this custom font by setting the font family to be Poppins. I'm gonna copy this and pop I'll do it for the whole page, the body. All of these elements are inside the body, right? So if I apply this to the body, they will all have that font. Wonderful. Maybe I'll make it bold. I just can't help myself. You can spend ages making these things look beautiful. Font made bold. Okay, I should stop now. I should stop. I hope this has been helpful. And yeah, let me know if I can lend a hand. Bye, everyone.